If you want to see how I made resin pigment for the first time, then keep watching. All right, so we're gonna start by pouring part A of the resin into a jar. You can use part A or part B, just make sure you don't mix them together. We're only using one part for this. A lot of people end up with extra part A, especially if you use pigments, because sometimes you need to add a little more part B, the hardener, to get it to cure, right? That's why it's super important to really understand how your brand of resin works. Each one can behave a little differently. After I added the part A resin to the jar, I mixed in some white mica powder. I personally think starting with a white base is a good move in most cases. It really helps your colors pop. And since we're going to be mixing colors together, it's also a good idea to get familiar with the color wheel. Trust me, it'll help you create better combos and avoid muddy mixes. As you can see, I'm working with a mix of blues, greens, and blue-green mica powders. I'm going for a color similar to Tiffany blue, but with a little more of a green hue to it. And if you're not sure what Tiffany blue looks like, no worries. I'll pop in a color swatch from a Tiffany box right here so you can get the vibe. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, it took me a minute to get the color just right. I even ended up adding a little white pigment paste because I didn't want to add more shimmer with the white mica. I kept tweaking the colors, adding a little of this and that until I finally got the look I was going for. It started out pretty loose, but by the time I was done, it had thickened up, just like a resin pigment paste usually does. It was definitely a process, but definitely worth it. So this was the first color I came up with, but after a little tweaking and mixing, I ended up with this, and I love how it turned out. After I finished making the pigment, I decided to use it to pour this cross mold, and I was excited to see how the color would look in a finished piece. Here I'm just coloring in the letters with a silver oil-based paint pen. If you try this technique, I definitely recommend sealing it with a clear spray sealer to keep the paint from rubbing off. I'm showing you the back of the cross because the mold I use is a matte mold, so the color doesn't appear as vibrant on the front like it would with a glossy mold. But from the back, you can really see the true richness of the color. Here are a few things I learned from making resin pigment for the first time. Start with a 1-2 ratio. That's 1 part mica to 1 part A or part B resin, just don't mix them together, to 2 parts mica. I also recommend using a white base, especially if you're layering or blending colors. How much white you use really depends on the final color you're going for. Also, remember that your pigment may look lighter or darker once it's fully mixed with resin. So it's always a smart move to do a small test pour first. And honestly, the biggest lesson, when you're mixing colors, be patient. Keep tweaking until you find the shade you love, but at the same time, know when to stop before you go too far and muddy the mix. So if you liked hanging out and picked up a few gems, go ahead and comment, and hit that subscribe so we can keep crafting together. Until next time, stay creative and stay bossy.